It's all one big piece and not just work is work and home is home. It all kind of interrelates and kind of all of this total employee, I guess, a little bit. And we get them here at work, whether they're healthy or whether they're feeling good or not. Sometimes people don't come to work because they're sick, and then sometimes they come to work and they are sick, and that's even worse because they're not getting better and they're just less productive.
And I don't want to have the health problems. I quit smoking. That was a major issue that helped me, and it's just, I want to see my kids grow up. I want to be healthy. I want to go out and do things with them. And if I'm laid up on the couch because I'm hurt or have an illness, I can't do that.
I really view total worker health as a set of or a strategy, a management strategy, or a set of organizational policies that consider the health of its workers both on the job and off the job. So looking at occupational risk factors for injury and illness, and also non-occupational risk factors for injury and illness, and how companies can do surveillance on metrics targeting those aspects, or how they can encourage people to adopt healthier behaviors.
Total worker health is integration of the traditional occupational safety and health protection that we've been doing for years, since the Occupational Safety and Health Act was passed in 1970, protecting people at work through decreasing or eliminating their exposures to physical, chemical, biological agents through standards, regulations, practices, programs.
Health is impacted by more than what happens at the workplace. It's impacted by what happens at home, it's impacted by what happens in the community, and so addressing just one and not the other doesn't look at the person, the entire worker.
A strong wellness program helps ensure the safety of our employees, the wellness and the holistic, both on the job and off the job, which makes them better community residents too. So that gives back to our residents that we're serving.
We didn't have a safety program or anything in the previous place that I was working, and you just, you never really thought about it. Now that it's, that this is what's expected here, and it does make you start thinking of things, at home.
If you have a healthier workforce, you're going to have a safer workforce, and a safer workforce is going to be a healthier workforce.
The terms total worker health have really become synonymous with an important NIOSH program to better advance the overall health and well-being of workers. NIOSH is dedicated at its very core to keeping workers safe. And that's an important cornerstone or foundation of the Total Worker Health Program. We think the best organizations start there, keep their workers safe, and then invest in the health and well-being of their workers throughout the day so that they can go home at the end of the day with more health than when they arrived that morning.
We've had a substantial reduction in workers' comp claims. That has a direct translation into the company's cost. If our workers' comp insurance is less, we have more money that we're able to apply to the bottom line. When it comes review time and salary increase time, that's going to have a positive impact. So let's all work safe. Let's work hard, but let's work safe.
We look at the return of investment strictly at this point based on the health insurance. We've got great insurance, so we have a high participation level. For the last 5 years, we've only had, I think, 1 year we've passed along an increase. And we turned around that same year and gave them a premium holiday, which completely neutralized that increase for the entire year. So we offset it that way. But for those 5 years, when you look at our history, we were able to do no increase to our premiums. So the employees had no cost increase, no change in their benefit, and they got premium holidays more than not. There's no guarantees with that, and the employees get that, but they also celebrate when they get those wins because it's real money in their pocket.
We sort of feel like, or at least I feel like, that we're seeing a positive trend in our health insurance. We're not seeing the claims that maybe are not increasing as rapidly as we see some of our other people in the community or other competitors. I mean, we get reports from our insurance brokers showing how we've done with our wellness program, and compared to similar companies, we're below average on that.
When we look at who's involved in the wellness program and whether or not they've missed work or had a workplace injury, we try to make a connection between those two. Sometimes those connections are hard to make. A lot of our work-related injuries have to do more with somebody slipping and falling on the ice. How can wellness impact that? Their recovery time certainly is going to be less if they're healthy, so we can impact that. On the safety side, then it's just about making sure that maybe that slip and fall can't happen again.
Not all of the initiatives are going to have a direct line of sight to the benefits from a financial standpoint. Many times you have to have a little faith that with time, those investments will pay off. When they do, you can look back several years and be glad that you made that investment, but it's not as easy as buying a new piece of equipment that's more efficient, where you have a very direct line of sight to the benefits of it. That's a little more intangible, but the savings are there from a financial standpoint, but more importantly from a human standpoint.
Once I got doing that program, and I started watching my diet, I started watching a little bit what I was eating, and the weight just came off, and my back and my knees feel so much better. I don't hurt when I'm out walking, doing my job.
Healthier employees are actually having fewer injuries, fewer healthcare claims, and able to stay on the job and produce better.
One of the things about starting a company that is not always real clear is what needs to be done. Not what should be done and what has to be done. From top to bottom, safety is more than just something we talk about once a month. It's something that we stress every day of the week.
So that's a direct reflection of the safety culture here that made so much sense to me that I just now integrated as part of my lifestyle. It's changed my lifestyle.
It has to start from the top down. Everybody's got to be on board, and whether it's the enforcement of it or them doing their job, when they're walking around the shop checking things out, as long as they're doing it safely too. Otherwise, you're not going to have buy-in from everybody else.
I would apply the same aspects as I would here, climbing up on ladders, doing things. I try and make sure that I have the same safety aspects at home. And again, with that strong background that we have here, we don't have a whole lot of people calling in because they did get hurt at home or something happened.
We formed a wellness team, and I can still remember our very first meeting. We looked at one another and I said, hey, none of us knows what we're doing here. We can make it whatever we want it to be. That was the beginning, and so it was just basically getting different people from the office, from the shop, together. We met once a month. As far as policies, we just started looking at what we wanted it to be. We wanted to start moving. We wanted to start getting people encouraged to exercise and focus on little things first.
Healthier employees are better workers and better productivity. And while it may be a long-term payback, in my view, you've got to start somewhere. And if you never start, then you never get there.
You need to be able to work a career and still be able to retire and enjoy the things after work that are out there. So just come together as a team, find a way to get the job done safely, and if it's not, you can't do it safely, then it's just not worth doing.
Organizations need to take a step back, and they know that it's the next direction that maybe they need to go, is to either integrate wellness and safety, or collaborate between the departments, or add the occupational health piece into the wellness and safety arena so that they're all working and functioning with each other.
We have quite a bit as far as safety programs and wellness programs. And it seemed to make sense that we kind of tied it all together and to make it work all one piece. We started out with the chaplains and the financial literacy. You know, you'd see the 401k loans and the garnishments and things like that, and you think, well, we have to help people with some of the issues they have, and so the financial literacy kind of started it off.
The first thing we do for new safety policies and initiatives is to get a group together to establish what is appropriate, and then we roll that out through our IPT, which is our injury prevention team. We also have safety notes, and then we'll also have a formal rollout of the policy.
You know, when we first started the committee, or when the committees were first established, there was just four. There was a group of four, and then thought, you know, geez, no, really, we should be having somebody from the sales department on the safety committee. We should really be having somebody from a customer service standpoint on committee, and assembly, and warehouse, and office, and that, you know, everybody really needs a voice.
In the early days, there was a lot of low-hanging fruit, a lot of things that needed to be done, and the safety committee identified those things. If you have proper procedures put in place, when an emergency does happen, it's automatic.
The assessment is the key. That's where we get good information about risks for our population that we can help them with. We can tailor programs for.
I do like the risk assessments, they call it, you know, so before you use a piece of equipment that you're not familiar with, you know, they have a risk assessment sheet that you need to read through and sign off on. It's just a good way for people to be reminded of, you know, this piece of equipment can do serious damage if you're not paying attention to what you're doing.
Give the incentives, the small incentives. It does, you know, the gift cards that we give out are not going to change anybody's life in a year, but they're something they can work for and take a great deal of pride in earning.
because of the energy here, I just wanted to be a better person. So I started on my journey and ended up losing over 60 pounds. I felt really good about myself, but then that was able to transcend to my family. So because of what I had learned, by the example that I was leading for my family, my husband was able to lose over 30 pounds. And we've been really committed. We have an 8-year-old daughter, and we've been really committed to her health and wellness. So focusing on healthy lunches, we've gotten her involved in swim team. And then just this summer, we all bought bikes, since we've been on the bike trail a lot this summer. It's certainly changed my life.
What works for CFU may not work for you. Your budget may be more prohibitive than what ours is. You may have more than us to work with. You may have a little bit larger employee base. A large portion of ours is operational versus office. Theirs may slip. Starting small and trying to go for those wins along the way and celebrating those and communicating those has been really, it's worked well for us. So we try and keep kind of that model, if you will.
And basically they were activities like eating 5 servings of fruits and vegetables each day, wearing your seatbelt, drinking 64 ounces of water, all those. And each one you checked off, if you had a bingo for that, you were able to get a prize.
It's nice to know when you go to the gym that at least you're kind of getting to use all the equipment for free, stuff like that. Stretching and those types of things is great, especially with some of the miscellaneous manual labor that we do around here with handling of pipe and stuff like that. And no one ever likes to pull a muscle and be hobbling around for a couple days, so those are all good things.
I remember a few years back when I started out, they would have like a day where like a masseuse would come in and they'd give mini massages, like 10-minute mini massages for people that anyone that wanted to sign up for.
Knowing your employees is really important, so what kind of recognition they want. Celebrating with food, it sounds funny, but you can celebrate with food. Rewarding them with that can sometimes obviously be a low cost. Stress balls, I mean, there's things that you can start with.
I have employees that are great about checking their email. They look on the bulletin boards and they see what's going on. I have other employees that are oblivious to that. It's going to take a phone call or it's going to take their foreman saying, this is going on today. knowing your audience is important and being able to communicate things in different ways.
There's a lot of people that are heads down in their work and they're just not going to do it. I think having accountability helps. So if you have an office mate, maybe you guys set a time, even every other day, just get up and go outside for a 5-10 minute walk, something like that.
Most of the teams have done some kind of team building experience, to have a lunch together, to just kind of, get to know each other better. We've had people, take a long lunch and take in a part of a baseball game here locally.
If you don't have people that can share their real life stories of things and how they've impacted them, then it's really hard to get those naysayers on the bus and ready to go. One of the things that I try to do when someone comes to me with a personal story is get their permission. Is it okay for me to share that? Because of privacy rules and HIPAA, they don't have to tell me these stories. So when they're willing to tell me, I want to make sure that I can capitalize on that and I can use that as a story to teach other employees.
We've got a health and wellness hero. So if somebody gets nominated for just things that they're doing, coworkers are noticing something different about them and put them up for nomination so that they can be recognized. And I actually did the Better Health Biggest Loser again this year and got second place in it from an individual standpoint. And so I'm down now to about 165. So from 220 down to 165.
So I go over to employees' houses and see them with their families and they're doing the same things. Using hearing protection if they're operating equipment that's loud. I'm not sure that they would do that had we not been as active in safety as what we are.
We are measuring our success. We find it really important that we need to be able to produce results, and being able to track your success and sometimes challenges is really important because you need to be able to present that to management. I need to be able to support that for my budget requests. Take it slow, start with something, don't keep putting it off. But we're constantly revisiting ours, what works and what doesn't. So you're gonna have those ups and downs, but starting with something, going to your employees, forming that wellness committee, doing possibly an employee survey, recognizing what employees are interested in, how well will it be perceived, at what level will it be perceived, what does management support, what can you financially support, and then just building off of that year after year.
As part of our annual assessment, they complete an online survey. And that survey has specific questions on what they do at home. What are their eating habits? How often do they exercise? Do they have activities they participate in that may be construed as unhealthy?
We're very upfront and open about what happens to the data, what the data is used for, who sees the data, how it's handled.
The assessment is the key. That's where we get good information about risks for our population that we can help them with. We can tailor programs for. A lot of that was driven by the claims data that said we have a population with chronic health problems that we can impact, that they can impact. And we want them. We want employees to take responsibility.
We took a look at the data and tried to figure out, where were some of our risk areas and what do we want to do about it. We've definitely seen it in the numbers and the screenings. We've seen things improve. We've also noticed increased attendance in some of our events. It used to be we'd do, something out here like basketball or tournament or something, and the same few people would attend, but now it's really growing.
We went 520 or 530 days with no injuries. But some people look at our SHARPS as being a success. SHARPS is a recognition of our success. Our success is having all of our employees go home. Having all of our employees, the buy-in that we have, that everybody is equal, everybody is safe. The culture change that we've accomplished.
For another company that doesn't have an active safety program, my advice to them would be start one a day, even if it's taking small steps, but start a day. Don't put it off. There's financial benefit involved in it. We've made an investment in safety initially, but that investment has provided measurable returns in workers' comp claims. Plus, our employees aren't getting injured. We have happier employees. We have healthier employees. We have employees who are able to work day after day after day.
It has to start from the top down. Everybody's got to be on board. Otherwise, you're not going to have buy-in from everybody else.
Organizations need to take a step back, and they know that it's the next direction that maybe they need to go is to either integrate wellness and safety or collaborate between the departments or add the occupational health piece into the wellness and safety arena so that they're all working and function with each other.
Starting small and trying to go for those wins along the way and celebrating those and communicating those, it's worked well for us. So we try and keep kind of that model, if you will.
Knowing your audience is important and being able to communicate things in different ways.
got a health and wellness hero. So if somebody gets nominated for just things that they're doing, coworkers are noticing something different about them and put them up for nomination so that they can be recognized.
Give the incentives, the small incentives. It does, you know, the gift cards that we give out are not going to change anybody's life in a year, but they're something they can work for and take a great deal of pride in earning.
We also took our initiatives really seriously, so we do wellness screenings every year. And we took a look at the data and tried to figure out, you know, where were some of our risk areas and what do we want to do about it.
My back and my knees feel so much better. I don't hurt when I'm out walking, you know, doing my job.
It's changed my lifestyle.
It's certainly changed my life.
Don't set people up for failure, set them up for success. When we preach to our employees, be clean, be neat, be tidy, be safe on everything that you do, it reflects in every aspect of our business to product coming in, product going out.
The main piece of advice I have for anybody out there is to stick with it. Don't get discouraged. When I first started the program, I would get frustrated that people weren't participating. The programs aren't going to change, and they're not going to be there until people have it in here that they want to do it.
I think you have to not be afraid to try. You may not find something that appeals to everybody. If you start a walking club and you only get a few people, that's a few more people than just sat at their desk all day.
My basic recommendation is to just jump right in, and it's also to look for folks that are involved and open up in a small area. You don't have to just, you know, raise your hand up at the big meeting where everybody's there and say, hey, I'm in. Find a leader, find somebody that you see that has made changes, and ask them about it. Say, what have you been doing? And see if they're willing to help. Because I know for myself, after going through it, I would love to see people actually have the same success that I have had and have a better outlook on life.
You're not going to lose anything by participating at the very least, and at the best you're going to become more healthy and you're going to become more engaged with your job, and you're probably going to improve relationships at work, which is important. One thing I appreciated is I think we've started somewhat, you know, somewhat slow, and we've worked into it. I think if it's overly confusing, people look at all the things they have to do in a day and they don't want to add something else.
This is about celebrating each employee's successes and what they've done. And so I think empowering other people around you to really be the voice of the program. I've got some great people that want to do that. I just have to allow them to do it.
I think we're helping people. I think we're getting there, and like I said, you can't do much until they're ready to help themselves. But all you can do is be there for them and try to, you know, be that resource for them when they're ready. You know, well, come on in. The water's great.